What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Thomas plays hero for Hope's fashion line, brings risky temptation? The Bold and the Beautiful hint that Thomas Forrester may play the hero for Hope Logan's fashion line. Will a revival bring risky temptation for these former flames? Since Thomas will make his screen debut at the beginning of September, it will be interesting to see how B&B uses him. If Thomas agrees to assist Hope in its revival, there is a possibility that Thomas's return will be beneficial to the organization. Steffi Forrester isn't on canvas to keep Hope's line dormant, so maybe this could be Hope's opportunity to breathe new life into it. Carter Walton may help Hope when it comes to convincing Ridge Forrester this is the right call. Even though Thomas was the project's lead designer, Hope for the future struggled when he wasn't there. However, if he steps back into that role, it could have an amazing new start. Thomas might agree to come home and help Hope make a huge splash with another Hope for the Future collection. Hope was grateful to get rehired at Forrester Creations, but things haven't been the same without her beloved line. Hope will never truly be content without her baby, Hope for the Future. Despite the awkwardness of seeing Thomas again and potentially working with him, Hope may think it'll be worth it if her line gets a new beginning. Thomas may decide to put any discomfort aside too if he feels this is what's best for the company. Part of Thomas will always care about Hope and want her to succeed, so he may admit that once his comeback happens. Naturally, there's the potential for Hope and Thomas to mix business with pleasure if they team up once more. Even though Hope is engaged to Carter, she might still be tempted by Thomas when he is around. Whether Thomas is still engaged to Paris Buckingham or not, there'll surely be some lingering Hope attraction on his end as well. Hope was previously Thomas's obsession, so there's no way he'll be able to ignore her beauty if they're interacting regularly. Some flying sparks could erupt and pull these exes closer, so Daphne Rose might use Thomas and Hope's temptation to her advantage. If Hope is busy lusting after Thomas, that could make it easier for Daphne to win Carter over. According to the Bold and the Beautiful, Hope and Thomas might collaborate on an intriguing plot. Thomas returns to face another Buckingham crisis hero or accomplice. The Bold and the Beautiful tease that Thomas Forrester could cause quite the stir when he returns to the CBS soap opera in September. There is a growing speculation that he could have been working with Grace Buckingham to take Liam Spencer out of the equation to get closer to Hope Logan. Thomas despises Liam. And simply put, the feeling is mutual for Liam. They refuse to act like they get along or like each other. Thomas wouldn't feel any guilt over making Liam believe he had brain cancer or drugging him to give him debilitating headaches. One other thing to point out about Thomas is the identity of his fiancée. Thomas was engaged to Paris Buckingham Grace, the daughter of Reese Buckingham, when we last heard from him. It all seems a little too convenient not to mean something. Thomas could be somewhat involved. It's possible that Thomas could be the hero in the situation. Grace conned Bill Spencer out of $1 million smackers. However, she informed Dr. John Finnegan that she owed more than $2 million to Reese's loan sharks. If Bill handed her over $1 million, that would still leave a large balance owed. What if Thomas gave his future mother-in-law the rest of the money to keep Paris safe? The bookie was threatening to hurt Reese's daughters. Thomas wouldn't want anything to happen to the woman he loves. Another scenario, Thomas could return to LA and learn about Grace's crime. Given that she claimed she did it out of concern for her daughters, he might feel sorry for her. Thomas could offer to help Grace, giving aid to get out of legal trouble. Maybe even giving her the $1 million to pay Bill off to keep him quiet. Thomas knew about it. Another possibility is that Thomas was aware of it all along. Those threatening phone calls could have been him. The threats to hurt her daughters, that was from Thomas. He did it all. Maybe to scare Grace, but it could have been to extort money out of Bill to give to Grace. Maybe, just maybe, the gambling debt story is not even real. Thomas the hero. The best possible scenario is that Thomas is a hero. Imagine he returns to LA and learns the awful things Grace did to Liam. Perhaps, he is horrified that Grace would do this to Liam, considering her husband kidnapped Hope and Liam's baby and told them their newborn died. If Thomas sides with Liam, the victim in this instance, it could prove something huge for Thomas. He has evolved and can be relied upon. It might even help Liam form an unlikely friendship. The Bold and the Beautiful seems to be setting the stage for yet another tangled storyline with Thomas Forrester's upcoming return, and this time, the stakes are as personal as they are professional. On the surface, Thomas' comeback could be the much-needed salvation for Hope Logan's beloved Hope for the Future line, which has been languishing without his creative vision and tireless drive. Fans will remember that when Thomas served as lead designer, the brand flourished, and Hope herself seemed reinvigorated by his artistry and passion. Without him, however, the line's heartbeat slowed, and despite Hope's gratitude at simply being rehired at Forrester Creations, she has never been truly content without the baby she nurtured from the ground up her fashion line. With Steffi Forrester off the canvas and unable to push for dormancy, this could be Hope's golden chance to revive Hope for the future with Thomas stepping into his former role. If he agrees, he could once again play the hero who saves not only the collection but also Hope's professional purpose. Yet, as with everything in Los Angeles, heroics come with baggage, and in this case, the baggage is a minefield of temptation, old wounds, and dangerous alliances. Professionally, Thomas swooping in to support Hope would certainly please Ridge Forrester, who has always recognized his son's talent but worried about his personal judgment. The Forrester family's sense of trust and collaboration will be enhanced by Carter Walton's potential advocacy for Hope's vision and assistance in convincing Ridge. Still, the undeniable subtext here is that Thomas's re-entry into Hope's daily life carries the risk of reigniting something she thought she'd put behind her. Annika Noel's Hope may be engaged to Carter, a stable, loving, and grounded man, but Carter doesn't have the shared history Thomas does. A part of Thomas will always want Hope to succeed, not only professionally but also emotionally, as he has acknowledged. Sparks could rekindle if they begin spending long hours together sketching designs, talking about fabrics, and sharing the creative intimacy that once fueled both their art and their near-romance. And those sparks, however unintentional, may threaten Hope's commitment to Carter, who is already vulnerable to rivals like Daphne Rose lurking on the sidelines. But the complexity of Thomas's return doesn't stop at fashion sketches and rekindled desires. It stretches into something far darker and potentially more consequential. The soap has been teasing that Thomas may not simply be returning as a designer, but also as a pivotal player in a Buckingham-centered crisis that could blow Los Angeles apart. Thomas was engaged to Paris Buckingham when he was last seen, which put him in the company of Grace Buckingham, her mother. Since then, Grace's shady dealings have escalated. Conned money, million-dollar schemes, and dangerous entanglements with Reese's loan sharks have left her reputation and her freedom dangling by a thread. Rumors suggest that Thomas may have been the shadowy force behind some of Grace's storyline twists, the menacing phone calls, the threats of violence, and even the manipulation of Liam Spencer's supposed brain tumor ordeal. Given Thomas's long-standing dislike for Liam, it wouldn't be surprising if he discovered a way to take advantage of Grace's weaknesses to get rid of Liam as a barrier to Hope once and for all. That said, there's an alternative path the writers could take, one that leans heavily into redemption. Imagine Thomas returning to discover the full extent of Grace's crimes, not only her deception of Bill Spencer for millions, but also her indirect involvement in tormenting Liam, a man Thomas once sought to destroy. Instead of piling onto Liam's misery, this new, matured Thomas could shock viewers by siding with Liam, condemning Grace's actions, and stepping into the role of protector rather than perpetrator. It could signal a turning point in Thomas's development as a character if he exposes Grace and demands that she accept responsibility for her actions. For years, Thomas has been painted as an obsessive schemer whose darkest impulses undermined his moments of genius. Choosing integrity this time could finally solidify his status as a man who can be trusted not just by his family, but by Hope herself. And yet, if Thomas does play the hero, it may only complicate Hope's emotional landscape further. While they are working late into the night on a collection, it is one thing for Carter to be concerned about a dormant attraction between Hope and Thomas. It's quite another if Hope sees Thomas standing tall, defending Liam, denouncing Grace, and putting himself on the line to protect the people she loves most. That kind of courage and honor could rewrite her image of him completely, transforming him from the obsessive designer who once caused her pain into the kind of man she could imagine as a life partner. Even if Hope resists temptation, the audience knows that on soaps, resisting usually lasts only until the next power outage, thunderstorm, or gala night gone wrong. Of course, the other possibility is that Thomas isn't a hero at all, but a puppeteer whose strings reach much deeper than anyone suspects. If he really was the mastermind behind Grace's debts, the staged threats to her daughters, or even the elaborate ruse that convinced Liam he was dying, then Thomas could be returning not as Hope's savior but as her greatest threat. A Thomas who manipulates everyone while pretending to play the hero would be classic soap opera storytelling, and it would put Hope directly in harm's way once more. Working side by side with him, she'd never realize just how far he'd go to reclaim her, even if it meant ruining Carter, breaking Liam, and pulling the entire Forrester Buckingham Spencer web into chaos. So when Thomas Forrester walks back into Los Angeles this September, fans will be watching for more than just a new sketchpad and a fresh collection. They'll be watching for signs: hero or villain, savior or saboteur, partner or predator. Hope Logan may think she's simply reviving her fashion line, but in reality, she could be opening the door to her most dangerous temptation yet. And with Daphne scheming, Carter loving, and Liam hovering like a ghost from her past, one thing is certain: Hope's heart and her future are about to get very complicated.